Welcome to Gracefully Greying. I am your host, Attorney Henry Gornbein. Today on Gracefully Greying, I am very pleased to welcome as my guest Marni Raitt, who is the Executive Director of the Detroit Jewish. Marni, welcome to Gracefully Greying.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you as our guest. First of all, Marni, tell us about your background, a little bit about who you are for our viewers.
Sure. Do you prefer professional or personal or all of it?
All of it. Why
All of
not?
it. Okay, sounds good. Well, I grew up on kitty corner to you, as you know, Henry. Your kids, Jonathan and Lori, are my age. I'm right between them, actually. I grew up in West Bloomfield on Thorntree Drive, and I went to West Bloomfield schools all the way through, and then went to University of Michigan for undergraduate. After I finished University of Michigan, I decided to, after working for a couple of years living at home, I decided to move out to LA, where I was convinced that I was going to be the next Meg Ryan. And I tried to my hand at acting. And while I was there, I was lucky enough, or smart enough, whatever you want to say, to get a job in public relations at Disney and I worked there for 5 years. And I did not become the next Meg Ryan, as we know. So falling back on public relations was really a great thing for me. I was in LA for about 6 years total, moved back to Michigan, where I worked at Quicken, now Rocket Mortgages, for a couple of years. I worked at the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, and then Michigan collapsed in 2009, and I was without a job. So I decided what was smart was to move to New York without a job in one of the worst financial climates that we've had in our generation, or any generation that I've been alive in. So I moved to New York, muddled my way through until I finally got a job, worked in PR while I was there for about 12 years. COVID hit. It was quite tragic for my family. I know it was tragic for a lot of people out there. Or about a month in, we lost both of my parents about 2 weeks apart. They both got COVID. It was brought into their home by a home healthcare worker. It was a horrible time, tragic. And it was really a life's too short moment for me. I decided the best place for me was to move back to Michigan. So in 2022, late 2022, I moved back to the Detroit area. And then trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, because I was really burnt out from working in PR for so long. So I started talking to different people, and I was fortunate enough to come upon my current position, which was available. They were looking for someone to really lead the charge at the Detroit Jewish News, and they thought my expertise would work out. And so far, I'm in for about 3.5 years. So I think we're doing okay so far.
Marni, tell our viewers exactly what your role is as Executive Director of the Detroit Jewish News.
Sure. My role is to really head up all operations for the Jewish News. So editorial, and also operations, which includes circulation, marketing, sales, and we have heads of all those departments, and I kind of make sure that all the pieces are moving smoothly. I guess if I can mix metaphors, I'm kind of the quarterback there, making sure the ball's always moving forward. So we've got an amazing managing editor. Her name is Jackie Hedipol. She's been with the paper for about 12 years or more even, and she oversees all editorial with my assistants. And then we have just an amazing team of people who run advertising, marketing, sales, all the different pieces that make the paper operate on a daily basis.
What are some of your goals for the Jewish News?
Well, ultimately, my goal is to make sure it stays alive. I know that seems kind of reductive, but it's really important that this is an important community asset. And there's a lot of challenges in the newspaper printing industry right now that make it a challenge. So my goal is to make sure that the paper thrives, survives, and is always a resource that the people in the Jewish community in the Detroit area can count on. because we play an important role. We bring the community together. We provide resources, information, and it's we've been around for, let's see, 1942. So whatever that is, 84 years, and it's my goal to make sure it stays there for another 84 years, way past my time.
Marni, we've been going through a horrible rise of anti-Semitism in this country and around the world.
Yeah.
What is the Jewish News doing to help combat this plague? And I know I read more and more articles about anti-Semitism in the Jewish News. And what are you doing? What are some of your goals in that area?
Well, really, we're upping our coverage of anti-Semitism and what's happening in the world. We don't really do much to specifically combat it, but we're hoping that by educating people, by putting it into print, we're going to be able to just make sure people are armed with more information and can fight it in their own way using us as a resource. So I'd say that's the main thing. I also, I'm out in the community quite a bit. A big part of my job that I didn't mention was being a liaison between the paper and the community. So I'm out there speaking to heads of different congregations, clergy, just to make sure that we're always connected to what's happening in the community. Our office is in the Federation building, so I'm always close to what's happening at Federation. So I hear all the things that are going on, and I can bring that back to the paper and make sure that we're covering it and being as transparent as we possibly can and helping the community. So I'd say that's probably what we're doing to help the best way we can.
Marni, tell us about some of the main features of the Jewish News for those of us who are not familiar with the Jewish News.
Sure. Unfortunately, people read the paper from back to front, and that's starts with the obituaries. Unfortunately, are in the back, and that is one of our most read parts of the newspaper. I hate to start out that way, but there are a lot of really great, fun features as well. If you do start from the back, then we always have Mike Smith, our archivist's piece. He does a piece each week about the archives called Looking Back, where he picks a topic, goes back into our archives, just taking a step back. Part of the Detroit Jewish News Foundation is, one side is the printing of the paper, and the other side is making sure that the archives of the Detroit Jewish News are always up to date. Our archives go back to 1918. The paper previous to the Jewish News was the Michigan Jewish Chronicle. So all of the papers from 1918 all the way to the present day can be found online in our digital archives. It's a searchable reference that anyone can access for free. So Mike oversees the archives, and he does this Looking Back column every week, which people look forward to. We always have a editorial section in the front called Looking Back, which is commentary from either members of the community, or we take editorials from the Jewish Telegraphic Agency, JTA, or Jewish News Syndicate, JNS, and we'll have opinions up front. We have our cover story is always usually our biggest feature of the week. For those who don't know, the Jewish News is a weekly newspaper, so we come out and print weekly, and then we're rolling on our website. We have some great features, like this week we put out our second annual pet issue, which is all about the pets that bring us joy in the Jewish community. We have features, like we have cooking features. We just put out our first cookbook, our community cookbook last year, and we're planning to hopefully do another one this year or the following year, since we had such success with it. We do a How We Met feature, where we highlight people who have met in interesting ways and have stayed together. Our features range everything from arts and entertainment to sports to events. So really, we run the gamut of what's happening in the Jewish community, and we try to bring it to people's doors every week.
I think you're doing a great job. One thing that interests me, I mean, speaking about from back to front, is obituaries. I'm seeing more and more Jewish people who are passing away who do not have obituaries in other print media, such as the Free Press, and only in the Jewish news. So often I'm learning about people's deaths probably a week or so after someone passed away. And so I don't know if this is because of the rise in anti-Semitism or something else, but there are fewer and fewer Jewish deaths in the other newsprints.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that is exactly. I know that nuts and bolts of it, we're a more affordable option. And sometimes people just want to be in front of their community. People's families want them to be in front of the community. So they might choose the Jewish news over another publication. I know that's what we did when my parents passed, unfortunately. So it was important for us because this is our community. This is where our friends and family are reading every week. So, yeah.
You mentioned it earlier, but how are you dealing with the fact that print circulation is shrinking?
Yeah, it's probably our biggest challenge, Henry. And just to be honest and transparent, we almost didn't survive last year. I mean, I know that sounds like it could be hyperbolic, but I'm not being so. It's the print industry is really struggling. There is always a rise in the costs of paper, the rise in the cost of postage, plus, the expense of hiring top reporters, who investigative reporters and journalists who bring the news to everybody every week. So that coupled with a decrease in advertising last year and a decrease in donations last year, it was really a challenging time. Things I'm thrilled to say have picked up due to a number of different factors, including a very successful donation campaign at the end of last year. Advertising has picked up. Some of the challenges that were harnessing that were making our advertising challenging last year have dissipated. We're still dealing with the increase in costs, but we're making strides. And one of those things is also moving into the Federation building. That decreased our rent and also put us in a position where we're right in the middle of what's happening in the community. So it had a twofold positive result there. And I think one of those are, again, nuts and bolts. But what we're trying to do from a strategic standpoint is really focus on our digital paper, which our website is www.thejewishnews.com. For those of you who don't know it, our web traffic has increased manyfold, partially due to October 7th, 2023, and then the subsequent wars, both with Hamas and then later now with Iran and Hezbollah. And those things have just made more people curious about Jewish news in general. So we do get a lot of traffic to our website. And to greet people, we've done a lot of things that are web-only features. We're trying to bring more video into our mix because video is really an important way of people consuming news in today's day and age. We're actually launching a new feature in a couple weeks called 5 Questions With, where we're interviewing prominent people in our community, asking them 5 questions that are meaningful to them and bringing them to the people of the community. We also have a featured reporter named Samantha Foon, whose alter ego is Yenta Girl. And she goes out in the community to events and to new places and news-making places and does short video features on those things and brings them to people's homes. So those have been very popular as well. So we're trying to do a lot of things that are strategically in the digital space, on social media. And we have a very I think, fun email newsletter that goes out 3 times a week. It's called the Morning Coffee Roundup, where we highlight some of the features that are taking place that week, and also some national and international news as well. So those are some of the things.
It sounds great. Now I'm circling back because in the most recent issue that came out last Thursday, I get in the mail on Thursdays, you wrote about your pet, your dog, for the pet issue.
Yes.
So that was very nice editorial.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. One of the most rewarding parts of my job is when I get to write, and I don't get to do it as often as I would like, but try to get a piece in every once a month or so. And I try to write things that are meaningful to me, that are from the heart, that I think will be meaningful to the community as well. The pet issue, was near and dear to my heart since dogs. I don't know if you remember all the bearded collies that my parents had when I was growing up. They've always just been an important part of my life, and I think that a lot of people can relate, and it seems that it's resonated quite a bit with people. We also did a pet lookalike contest, which was really fun. I don't know if you saw that, but
the whole issue was a lot of fun. I mean, with the pets and pets looking like their owners, and no, it was very clever and very enjoyable.
Good, thank you.
Marni, how do you attract younger readers? We have an aging Jewish community. Michigan, well, the whole country is aging, and Michigan especially. I mean, my demographics are 55 and over, and it's a situation where you want to maintain the older viewers, but you also want a younger audience. So, what is the Jewish News doing to try and attract younger viewers as well?
That's a really good question, Henry, and it's really a challenge that most of the communal Jewish organizations in our community, if not all the communal organizations, secular and religious and otherwise, are facing right now, because I'd say the millennial age and younger is the most attractive, but also the hardest to attract. So we're trying to do things that would really excite them and interest them in a way that a lot of the digital strategy that we're doing is really with the younger generations in mind. And they consume content in a very different way than people our age and older, and really speaking to different younger Jewish audiences, finding out what resonates with them, finding out what's important to them, what subject matter, as well as what issues resonate the most with them, and getting feedback as much as we can. But I'm not going to lie, it is a challenge. Our print readership has gone down significantly. I think in its heyday we were at about 20,000. We're down to about 6,000 now, which sounds like gloom and doom. But then again, our digital, we had over 2.5 million viewers in 2025, and we average about 210,000 visitors per month. So something we're doing is working. It's just we have to keep an eye on the future and make sure that we're addressing how people consume news now versus the way it's always been done, if that makes sense.
Could there be paid digital subscriptions?
I think at some point we've really given that a lot of thought, and we were almost going to do that last year when we were struggling, but we want this to be a community engaged paper, and we don't want people to feel that they don't have access to it. And where it would probably be strong for us, we did the research of how other publications do with paid content, with a paywall, and it does take a lot of the audience away. So we're trying to avoid a paywall as long as we possibly can. I'm not going to say it won't happen at some point in the future, but there's a lot of things that people in the community can do to help us in other ways. So the Jewish News gets our revenue. I don't know. I should lead with this. The Detroit Jewish News became a nonprofit newspaper 5 years ago. We were previously for profit. And when Arthur Horowitz, our amazing publisher emeritus, decided to retire, the people prior to me who made the decisions before I came on board decided to make the Jewish News a nonprofit organization. As a result, we get most of our funding from subscriptions, donations, and advertising. And because we're not looking to make a profit, we're looking just to break even, get our operating expenses back. It's for the most part worked. And as I mentioned, we're starting to get out of that red and into the green a little bit more. So did I answer your question? I feel like I went off on a tangent.
No, you are answering the question. I mean, basically, I was wondering about the fact that could you start selling, having not pay-per-view, but payment for, not just print, but for the digital subscriptions as well. And I was just thinking of a way for you to monetize that. But
yeah, and then another thing that we're thinking of, Henry, is to come up with an app. And that's something that we're exploring doing, and there will be a subscription element to that. It's also another place where we can have advertisers place ads. So, but the ways that people can really help us include subscribing. We need people to continuously subscribe. We do have a digital only subscription that's $49. And that way people can download the issue and read it on their reader the same way they would a paper copy. That's $49 for the year, or $99, which is our annual subscription. One of the things that you can do when you sign up for your annual subscription is there's a box you can check, because an annual subscription, it actually costs us, I think it's $159, if I'm not mistaken, but we only charge $99. So there's a place that people can check where they can donate those additional dollars. That's helpful. And also to donate so we survive. A lot of the other communal and nonprofit organizations in this community get a lot of donations, and we're really starting to push that part of our business as well. So subscribing and donating. And if you have a business that you think would thrive with an advertisement in the Jewish News, then we do print ads as well as digital and email ads. So there's a lot of ways that you and the community could help us, and we can in turn help you.
Sure. I also know that you have specials. I mean, you have a camp edition, you have a senior graduation edition. I don't know if you have a bridal edition. I think you have in the past.
We have a celebrate edition, which really celebrates all the celebration and simchas that we have in the community. There's a lot of ads for bridal stores and event spaces and things like that. That was in the spring. Our legal guide is coming up, Henry, where we promote the lawyers in our community and the law firms in our community, and they can place ads as well. We had the pet issue, of course. We have, I'd say probably at least once a month, we have a special issue, the camp issue, as you mentioned, where we really highlight pieces of the community and give people an opportunity to explore one specific issue or business.
Also, your entertainment section is always interesting, where you feature not only entertainers, but you highlight those who are Jewish or of Jewish background.
Yes.
So
we have great writers. We have an entertainment column every week that features just news from Hollywood about different Jewish performers, and that's always interesting. You never know who's Jewish, and it really highlights that. It's really fun. We also from the Fisher to community theaters, if there's some kind of a Jewish angle, we'll pretty much always feature that. And we also have a lot of musicians that we cover. We cover restaurants that are either kosher or owned by have Jewish owners or important Jewish leadership. So there's a lot of cool things that you can find in our pages.
absolutely. Marni, what do you find most rewarding about your work with the Jewish News?
Uh, as I mentioned, the writing piece is so much fun. I love it. As a public relations professional, I wrote a lot, but it was always very business focused. It was press releases, it was pitches, it was things about my clients. Where now I get to write things that make me feel, and I really enjoy that. Even though sometimes writing is like as painful as giving birth. It's a lot, but I like the process might be hard, but the finished product I really enjoy, and it's rewarding to see it on paper. And then going out and meeting members of our community, even challenging conversations give me an opportunity to talk about all the wonderful things about the paper. I've, as I mentioned, been able to really get to know members of the clergy in this community, members of Federation, leadership at all of our communal organizations. And I really enjoy, I enjoy our community, and I enjoy being a part of it. I mean, it's been so welcoming for me to come back and to join a communal organization like this and really get to know different people. That's been the most rewarding for me.
It shows that you love what you're doing. What about any frustrations?
Oh, frustrations. Henry, they happen all the time. I think the hardest thing is one of the remits we have is really to appeal to the widest segment of our community. So that goes from secular Jews all the way through Orthodox Jews and everything in between. And that's hard because things that interest different sides of the spectrum aren't going to necessarily interest each other. So we need to sometimes be real diplomatic and really figure out what's not going to offend everyone, but it's still going to bring everyone the news they need to read. So and also when people see things in the paper that they don't like, I hear about it. I'm happy to take those calls, but they're hard. Sometimes they're challenging, and I try to do my best to make sure people are heard, that I listen to them and do what I can to address their needs. But that can be frustrating too.
Marni, we're running out of time. Any final thoughts you want to share with our viewers before we sign off?
Sure. Well, I talked about the ways you can support, but it's important that you do support. We need your help to make sure we stay. We want to be sustainable. We want to serve the Jewish community of Detroit. And we want to stay true to our mission, which is, believe it or not, when the Michigan Jewish Chronicle was in existence in the 20th century, we were an answer to we were a Zionist answer. They didn't think that paper was Zionist enough. And so we were founded on Zionist roots. And, Israel's right to exist is very important to the paper. And I want to make sure that comes across, that our need and desire to serve and be of use to this community is the most important thing. And we could always use your help.
Marni Raitt, I want to thank you so much for being our guest on Gracefully Greying. I want to thank our viewers for watching Gracefully Greying, and of course our sponsors for helping make Gracefully Greying possible, and of course Bloomfield Cable. Thank you again, Marni Raitt, the Executive Director of the Detroit Jewish News. It's been very informative. Thank you again.